Okay, my second question here is a little bit more involved and involves some modelling. It's from exercise 3K and is question 11. Assume that the suspension cable shown in the diagram forms a parabola. So we're talking about this suspension cable along here. Find the rule which describes its shape. The minimum height of the cable above the roadway is 50 meters. So is 30 meters. So my minimum height will be here, and it will have a height of 30 meters. So my y value will be 30. Now, because it's a parabola and it's symmetrical, the x value must be 90 because it has to be half of the 180 meters. If we have a look, so we've got my x value, there's the origin, there's my y-axis, there's my x-axis. So I can say that this point will be when x equals 0 and y will be 75. And again, from symmetry, this has to be the point where x is 180 and y is 75. So this is a case where I have the turning point and another point. Or I could do this using all 3 points, but I think the easiest way will be to use the turning point. So when I choose my rule that I'm going to start with, I'm going to start with the rule that tells me what the turning point is when I know another point. And I'm going to write out my rule as y equals a bracket x minus h squared plus k. Alright, I can then substitute straight away from the turning point, which is 90, 30. It follows that y will equal a times x minus 90, because it's been translated 90 places to the right, and it's been translated 30 places up. Now all I have to do is use another point to find out what the a value is. And my second point, I'm going to sub in. Now I can use 0.75 or 180.75. The obvious choice is 0.75 because the numbers are smaller and it gets rid of the x value. That'll give me y equals a times 0 minus 90 squared plus 30, which is y equals 8,100a plus 30. So then move the 30 to the other side of the equal sign. And divide by 8,100. And I feel like I have messed something up here, and I have, because what I forgot to do was to put in the y value, which is 75. So let's just go back a few steps. At this point here, I need to put in the 75. So now same deal again. Let's try that. We're going to subtract 30 from both sides, which gives me 45 equals 8,100a, and then divide both sides by 8,100. And I've got my a value. So I can write my rule as y equals 45 over 8,100 bracket x minus 90 squared plus 30. And then this fraction can be simplified. I know that 5 has to go into both of them, and then it's just a matter of how many times 5 goes into each one. So I need to do 8,100 divide by 5, which will be 1 with 3 left over, 6 with 1 left over, 2, and then 0. So that gives me y equals 9 over 1620 x minus 90 squared plus 30. Now I know that 2 doesn't go into 9, so there's not a factor of 2, and that means there's not a factor of 4, 6, or 8. If I check, I can actually see that 3 goes into both of these terms. So from 1620, if I add each of the terms, that equals 9. And if 3 goes into 9, then I know 3 is a factor of 1620. So now I can do 1620 divided by 3, 0, 5, 1 left over for 0. And then y equals 3 over 540 x minus 90 squared plus 30. And then 3 goes into both of them as well. 3 goes into 54. Well, let's actually do it while I'm at it. My brain's hurting at the moment, so I'm going to do it the long way. Goes in there once with 2 left over, 18 times. So finally, I can say that it's 1 over 18 x minus 90 squared plus 30. And that is my final rule